Grant, how are you?
I'm just fine, thank you. Made the hotline. That's great.
That's right. Yeah, you're on the we'll call it the Grant Hall hotline right here, and we won't even charge you for it. 7.5 point underdog, Arkansas versus Oklahoma State. First of all, I didn't realize until I looked in the media guide last week that Arkansas hadn't played Oklahoma State since 1980, which means that probably most of the games they've played against Oklahoma State means they were probably Oklahoma A&M, right?
Yeah, that was startling to me, too, to hear that, Phil. I mean, to kind of think about it, because Arkansas led the series 30-15 to 1 or something, and they used to play every year. Back in my childhood, I remember, playing Oklahoma State and Tulsa at the beginning of the season, and toward the end of that thing, Oklahoma State was catching up. There was a period there in the I don't know that I remember their freshman team came over here and beat Arkansas 38-0 one time, and that was kind of a wake-up call. They had a running back named George Palmer, and people with long memories could remember. And they won some games handily against Arkansas, but Jimmy Johnson got Arkansas to play at Stillwater once every 4 years, and then that kind of went away. He went to Miami after a certain point. But I remember they played them 19-7 over there, and Arkansas was much better than that. But Jimmy played the game conservatively, and you could see he was getting that program going. And as close as the two schools are to each other, it's kind of surprising to think about that they haven't played in that long a time.
Which program right now? I know Arkansas is in the SEC. Oklahoma State's had a little bit of success lately. Which program right now is considered by national media is considered the better program?
Well, at this moment, I think Oklahoma State clearly. I mean, they've been to 18 consecutive bowls.
Whoa.
When you think about what Gundy has done there, it's his 17th year. That's just 2 seasons short of what Frank Broyles spent at Arkansas, and when you think, I think I saw a thing today where the Arkansas had 7 coaches since Gundy first went to Oklahoma State as coach. We've had, since Frank, we had Houston Nutt was here for 10 years, Lou Holtz for 7, Ken Hatfield for 6, and I don't think anybody else has been here more than 5 years. So there's been a lot of turnover at Arkansas. He's probably had an underappreciated record over there and tenure. I mean, remember the thing when there was a thing that he didn't like something in a press conference, and somebody had written something he thought was unfair about one of his players. He said, "I'm a man. I'm 40."
That's right.
Yeah, well, he's 57. Whoa. I'm a man. I'm 57 now. Where did those 17 years go, Matt?
No, I think it's almost been kind of under the radar. You think of Oklahoma State and you don't think of a team going to 17 straight bowl games or 18 straight bowl games or having continued success. You almost have it like pop up, like where, hey, once every 6 or 7 years they might come away and have back-to-back 9-win seasons, but then they go back kind of downhill, almost like Kansas football. Every once in a while you'll see them kind of run up, but we all kind of know it's short-lived. It's going to go back down, but it's been very sustainable over there.
What they haven't had, with Gundy at least, is any season where they haven't gone to a postseason. They've had one losing record under him. I mean, that's kind of like the Mike Tomlin thing. Mike Tomlin's never had a losing record. I think it was the same thing with Mike Anderson, and people sometimes make fun of that kind of stuff as if to say, well, you're talking about some low standards. But I tell you what, if you do that for as long as Coach A did that, if you do that for as long as Tomlin's done that in Pittsburgh, and Gundy, 4-7 his first year. Since then, 3-7-6 seasons. They've had 7 10-win years. That's amazingly impressive, Grant, and that's no matter where it is you're coaching. I think a place like Stillwater may be even more impressive considering who else is in the state.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. And to be tied for second in current longevity among head coaches says a lot about the job he's done over there. So, and when you think about all the changes that have happened in college football since he started, it's a totally different way of doing everything now. And so he's a survivor. But this game coming up, I think is going to be one of the better games of Saturday. I think probably that 7.5 might surprise some Arkansas fans who saw them score on every possession last week. And yet, Oklahoma State was impressive, too, against a team that had won 29 straight or something. To me, the question I asked in the presser the other day to Sam was, how do you go about tackling Ollie Gordon is a big key in this game. It's not rocket science to say that. But I remember when a long time ago when Arkansas was getting ready to play Texas and Earl Campbell, and they held him to 83 yards on 20 carries. I say held him because that was a pretty good achievement by redirecting him, Matt, and being able to try to gang tackle him because you weren't going to tackle him one-on-one. And that's what Sam said about this chore that they have Saturday is instead of 2 or 3 yards, he'll make 6 or 7. I mean, look at his, if you haven't seen this guy before, I saw just a photo in the newspaper the other day of his thighs and hips, and that's what Earl Campbell had, it made him so hard to tackle. So that to me is a huge key in the game. And the other one is I think Oklahoma State's going to have trouble tackling Taylen Green. You saw what he did on that one run right before halftime the other night. He's got that speed that most quarterbacks don't have, and how well they tackle him and Jackson and the other guys will be the other interesting thing to watch.
I watched that play, and it was like we know he's fast. We know he's got the long legs and everything. I just don't remember seeing a quarterback literally go sideline to sideline the way that he did. I mean, he had to go over to the far sideline to avoid the rush, tiptoes down it a little bit, ends up running to the other sideline to get into the end zone. I mean, I think the guy's running range is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that can be a real X factor. It's funny, Matt, I think I've told this before, but when you guys beat Texas 38-28 that day, they just had not seen anything like your speed at quarterback. And I remember all these writers from Texas that I've known for 20 years said, where'd this guy come from? What's the deal on him, And coaches can account for a lot of things, but when the game starts, if you don't have as much speed as the other guy you're trying to tackle, then you're in trouble.
Well, then there's difference between 4.8 speed and 4.5 speed. That's the truth. Hey, Grant, if we're gonna do that and we're gonna stop Ollie, and that's what you're gonna try to do. Do they have any weapons on the outside? Do they have a receiver that scares us on the outside?
Yeah, absolutely they do. This Presley, I think he caught 7 the other day it was just for 35 yards. And they've got other guys. They had a guy catch 3 for 81, I think, and Sam immediately added that to his answer about Ollie Gordon. He said then they also have dynamic skill guys. So there's not much they don't have. I mean, they're a complete team. Now, whether they, if you projected them into the SEC, what would their record be for a year? I don't know, but I know they have 34 seniors. And that's a lot of seniors coming back, even if some of them haven't played very much, and it's just it's a system. And then the other thing you're dealing with, and I'm sure you guys have talked about this a lot this week, is going over there to where the fans are on top of you. It's a sellout, and it's not an easy place to play at all. So there you go.
I've not been inside T-Boone Pickens Stadium. That's one of the reasons I'm really excited about Saturday is I get a chance to see a game inside another stadium and a place that, just like you said, is going to be sold out. And are they right on top of it? Just kind of like, what is it about Oklahoma State and always being right on top of it? Because Gallagher-Iba Arena, the basketball arena, is unique. You want to talk about people that are like looking right down on you when you're on the basketball court? That's it. That one in Stillwater is it. I guess the football stadium's the same way.
Yeah, it's interesting, Phil. Terry Don Phillips, who was a really good player at Arkansas, and he was AD over there at Oklahoma State. He took me on a tour one time, and he was so proud of how they had kind of melded the basketball together with the football. They're right there together, and those facilities, 14,000 in basketball could probably sound like 25, if they fill it. But for football, I don't think I think I read that this was the first hard sellout or something before a game, which is surprising to me. Was it 53 or 55,000 or something like that? So imagine War Memorial. and it's a little bit like that with talking about people on top of you. It's just the stands are close to the field. It's like they can almost hear some of the conversations down there during times of quiet. So that's what. Well, I mean, the OU and Oklahoma State, the Bedlam series, those were pretty intense games too.
You got two blue bloods that are going to be playing in the big house, Grant. You want to talk about an atmosphere that's going to be rocking. Texas at Michigan. How do you see that one going?
Man, well, first of all, I went 14-2 last week. We kind of talked about these games. I missed what a lot of people probably missed. I missed Vanderbilt and Virginia Tech, and I think I missed LSU. I had them winning over USC. Got the others. Most of the others were pretty easy to pick. But this one, I don't know. I would still probably have to go with the home team. They're probably underdogs, aren't they?
Man, that defense, it's going to be a battle. You talk about what we want to see out of Taylen Green, and when he faces in a little adversity, that Michigan defense is still real.
Texas is a 7.5-point favorite on the road. The same line for Arkansas, Oklahoma State, but it's the home team that's favored there.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to go Arkansas 31-30, and I'm going to go Michigan 28-27, because you're going to double the number of fans almost at Michigan as you have at Oklahoma State.
110,000. That's right.
Yeah.
Book it. Grant called it. Hey, Grant. Last thing here. We'll switch over to baseball for a moment here. There aren't. I don't think there are any great teams in Major League Baseball right now. But there is an historically bad team, and it might be more interesting to see if the White Sox can set this loss record. They've lost 12 straight. I think there's one pitcher, Chris Flexen, they've lost 20 consecutive games that he has started. You want to talk about, you can hear the conversations with the players at Oklahoma State because you're so close. It's so empty inside Progressive Rate Field. You can hear the catcher thinking of what pitch he's going to call. I feel awful for Benintendi because he's playing on that team, but I mean, 120 losses is the modern record. They got 22 games left. There's no way that they don't set this mark.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think they project out at 36 wins right now or something like that mathematically. The good news for Arkansas fans and followers of baseball is that Benintendi is up to 15-49 with his numbers with some missed time this year, and Fletcher's playing some, hitting about 218, I think, the last time I looked. So they're getting a chance to play, but it is historically bad. It's unbelievable. Which is more surprising, Phil, their 12-game losing streak or the Kansas City Royals' current 7-game losing streak?
Well, the Royals thing kind of came out of nowhere because they were playing the best baseball in the league after the All-Star break. So, I mean, by this point, you just expect if the White Sox score, it's surprising. I think they've been shut out 16 times. So I'd go.
And the Mets have won 6 in a row. Yeah, and I was just going to say, I had figured if the Cardinals could win 86, they might slip in there somehow, but they're going to have to probably do more than that because I don't think Atlanta and the Mets are going to. There's a big disparity between the haves and the have-nots this year, it seems like, and these teams that are in contention aren't going to slow down too much, I don't think.
Well, there have-nots, and then there's whatever the White Sox are, which is, I mean, that's
nothing.
That's less than zero, my man. That is less than zero. Grant,
what do they do in the off season? Yeah, that's going to be. What are they going to do to help themselves?
Hire a manager first. They got a lot to do. How much time do you have? We only have 2.5 hours left.
You're right.
We'll leave it there, Grant. I appreciate you hopping on. Thank you.
Okay, see you guys.
Thanks, Grant.
Grant Hall with us each Thursday on Halftime.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.